Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Let's talk about Allie. The way that Allie has been handling this whole thing has just been one giant mess. Okay? She is continuing to run around town and tell anyone and everyone that Tripp raped her. She goes to John and Marlena's room, at the hospital, and she's like, he raped me. And, after John gets upset or whatever, she walks out. Marlena tries to follow her. And, they run into Kayla. And so she turns around and she's like, she asks, Kayla whatever was going on or whatever. Well, she just assumes that Kayla is going to take Tripp's side. And I'm just like, so let me get this straight. Either they believe you, or if there's any doubt in their minds, then they're just a bad guy. They're just wrong. That's it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This story is so problematic. She pretty much just lashes out at her. And then she just leaves. And you got Marlena and Kayla talking. And, I don't remember which one of them said that, but said something. But pretty much it was like they're going to be picking sides. And, let me pause it for a second. That is absolutely true. They're going to be picking sides. You got Claire that didn't even bother to hear Tripp out. Known Tripp for years, and automatically, because Allie says something, she automatically believes it. How even when Kayla was sitting there saying, well, we're just trying to gather all the facts and we're just trying to make sense out of it, Allie was just like, oh, we believe him. Well, given the contents of the situation, why should they just automatically believe you? If you were sober, then that might have been different. And the fact that she was like, why would you just make that up for her? Doesn't mean she doesn't believe you. But, this is Allie that we're talking about. She, from the jump, at least from what I understand of her, of the time that I've seen her, she is very reactionary. I mean, it's like, if you go against what she says, no matter what it is, she snaps at you. So this really isn't a surprise. And I look at this whole thing where we go to Tripp and Steve. And yeah, so Tripp failed to mention something. And right then and there, I'm like, Tripp, you are so not helping out your situation. Pretty much, when he was sitting there telling Steve again, she was telling Steve again, he was like, well, she undressed herself, and then she went into bed. And Steve was like, I'm sorry, what? Because at first he was like, did you take off her clothes? And he told him, like, listen, that little detail can make it look like you took off her clothes because you didn't say anything. Listen, the way I'm trying to look at this, and this is even in Allie's somewhat defense, is that you can't tell someone how to react. You can sit there and judge and be like, this is piss poor decisions that you're just practically running around town telling everyone that he did this and just automatically yelling at them when they don't believe you. But at the same time, I'd be a hypocrite if I sit there and say, listen, you can't control how somebody's going to react. And I try to keep that in mind every time I sit there and see her running around town, doing this, doing that, and just, it's, like, there's times I'll be sitting there watching it, and I'm just like, but I have to sit there and keep that in mind. Now Lucas comes in, and you know what? I'm gonna give Lucas a free pass. He gets a free pass. He gets a free pass because he's a father, and, you know, I've heard someone on the radio once say that your job as a man or as a father is to protect and to provide. It's coming from a guy named Charlemagne. And that's literally what he was caught with when Nicole told him what happened. And so he gets a pass. He gets a full pass. This guy is like, I'm going to snap this guy's neck. We're going to throw him in jail. We're going to do something. You know, then when Allie comes back, he gives her a hug and everything like that. And he doesn't overreact. You know, he's just sad and heartbroken, which I expect any father would be. One second. And so yeah, you know, they hug each other. He doesn't, like, you know, starts asking a million questions and stuff like that, and, you know, he's just being a father. And that pretty much ends that scene. I think I kind of quickly, yeah, I talked about Marlena and John. Nothing really changed except for, oh, that's not true. That's not true. So yeah, Steve pretty much just kind of make Tripp go over everything in full detail. Hell, write it down at this point. That's what he was doing. But then John, you know, hearing what he heard from Allie and not being in sound and mind or whatever, he goes over to Steve's place and just punches Tripp in the face. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you know, if Lucas would have got there, he might have killed him. And Allie not being able to fully remember everything because she was drunk. Let's put it this way. Anything that happens to Tripp as a result of Allie saying what she said, because if it's not true, it's her ass. Okay? If Lucas decides to kill him or whatever, that's on her. But yeah, that's one of the things that happened, you know. John came over there, just punched him right in the face. And granted, you know, John is not in his right mind, so I'm trying to give him a pass at this whole thing and not being like, you're not hearing out what Tripp is saying. And I feel like this is what's going to wind up happening. Is that whoever Allie tells, that's just going to automatically believe her, is not even going to bother to sit there and listen to Tripp's side. I say this not really so much to defend Tripp. I mean, yeah, okay, let's be honest. I'm kind of defending Tripp a little bit, but it's only until I know more of the facts. And I'm not going to lie, when Tripp was holding something back and was like, it's not important, it's like, bro, you're not helping. But yeah, so that pretty much ends that. Let's talk about Brady and Kristen. One second. Let's talk about Brady and Kristen. Pretty much it's the same song and dance from yesterday. You know, not Tripp. Brady, Smith, they're trying to... Well, at this point, I don't think he's really pleading. But actually, yeah, I'm not going to lie. He was sort of pleading for her to, you know, if you just sit there and tell so-and-so, if you just sit there and tell her, and then he gets so upset, he's like, oh, well, they're going to have their happy ending, but what about us? And it's like, alright, I get it. I'm trying to understand it from his point of view, because, yeah, you know, they're not going to have a happy ending, but, you know, Eli and Lonnie is, and he's not happy with the way that he felt that Eli was kind of like strong holding her and everything like that. But point is, Kristen made up her mind, and when Bella came in there, Brady backed her up on it and didn't tell the full story of why she is pleading guilty. So, after Bella calmed down, she went to the judge or whatever to, do a hearing and stuff like that. And when Kristen was like, she doesn't sound confident, Brady was like, yo, let's run. I'm like, bro. When he was like, let's run and take Rachel with us, because, she's technically still on bail. I was like, did you not hear anything that Kristen said yesterday? See, this is the reason why sometimes I'm just like, I don't like to call Brady a moron. But when he starts doing stuff like that, it's like, dude, what else do you want me to call you? We just sat there for an hour of her explaining why it's not a good idea for her to try to get out of this. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth when she leaves is, let's go on a run. I made a mistake. Brady. So, Brady's like, what, let's just go out and just enjoy our time with our daughter, whatever. Just get some ice cream, just kind of just hang out, for our last little hurrah. And Bella came back and was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. You're going straight to jail. I'm not gonna lie. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Real jail. Yeah, this time you're going to jail. And I guess the bail was revoked. But it's kind of weird. I to tell you the truth, I'm not going to really get into the legal aspects of it, but I thought that she was still on bail until they rendered the verdict, or whatever. Anyway, I don't know what happened, but she's going back to jail. She's not, she's going to jail. That's it. I guess they didn't make their full final decision from what I understood. I'm not going to lie, I was kind of looking at my phone a little bit, but, yeah, I guess it's a full verdict or whatever. I don't think they gave her the full verdict or whatever. So, yeah. And that scene ends that. And that pretty much ends the review. I'm gonna ramble for a little bit, but it's gonna make some sort of sense. I'm not gonna lie. This soap opera, this story, again, is very problematic. Hell, even my friend was meant to telling me after years of her watching it, she was like, yeah, I'm thinking about being done with this show. Like, I mean, there's other reasons of why she wants to stop watching it, but this story is definitely not helping. And, I mean, I gotta admit, I'm not having the best of fun with this storyline so far. Because I just feel like it's a he said, she said, and I just... It's getting back on the fantasy side, first of all. I don't hate this story, but I'm not feeling the story either. The one thing I will sit there and say about this show versus General Hospital, I said this in my review yesterday, but for people that didn't hear it, this show is much easier to review. And I feel like that because I feel like it's just structurally better in some sense than GH. Like, GH yesterday just had a ton of characters. And I felt like I skipped some of the characters. I felt like there were certain things that I didn't say or I forgot to say in it because it was very minute. And there was certain characters that was in it that was just pointless for being in it. And I feel like, at least with this show, it's very straightforward, You have your two stories. You have the Allie story, you have the Brady story. Every once in a while, they'll throw in a fluff piece that really won't matter, but for the most part, it's Allie and it's Brady, whatever. And it's just easier to focus on that particular storyline, as opposed to you having 5 or 6 or 7 different characters in GH, and I'm sitting there doing this review, and I'm like, and I'm looking at my notes a little bit. Hell, I barely looked at my damn notes when I was watching Days, when I was going to do my Days review. But GH, I'm just like, Oh yeah, he was in there. Yeah, she was in there. Yeah, she didn't really do much, so I guess there's really no point in talking about that. So it's kind of weird because I I do love GH more than I love Days, but I feel like sometimes Days' story is just so much more simpler to follow, and it's a hell of a lot more easy to review. Um, so I gotta give Days his props. It's been on for years, and I can understand why. I give it credit. It's interesting, and the last thing I'll sit there and say before I go is when I started watching Days, originally, you know, it's because GH was, going away because of COVID and everything like that, and I still gained a certain proportion of soap opera fans. And we're like, you know what? I'm not just gonna sit there and just leave whatever for months or whatever at a time. Let's just pick another soap opera to watch. And so I picked Days because I felt like that was also like, I don't know, I felt like it was like the most other popular show on air. And I've seen a little bit with my friends, so it's like I can kind of follow a little bit. It's not terrible. And originally, I'm not gonna lie, when GH came back, I was like, yeah, Days is But then I started watching Days for a while, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie, even when I was watching GH, I was like, man, I wonder what's going on Days. I'm still like, I still want to know how that story end. Like how did the whole story end? How did this character end? And I kept thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I can really do both of them. I mean, hell, way back in the day, I used to technically watch 3 soap operas: Port Charles, One Life to Live, and General Hospital. But this is before I started watching other shows. But still, I would just watch 3 of them a day. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of feeling like I want to start watching Bold and the Beautiful again, but I don't know. I don't want to. Again, I'd rather do 2 great, amazing reviews as opposed to 3 average ones. But yeah. With that being said, enough of my rambling. If you watched it for 5 to 7 minutes of me rambling, thank you. Really appreciate it. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe. I'll catch you in the next review.